Lesson 12: Stereotype, Prejudice and Discrimination. Hello and good morning, ma'am and classmates. Introduction. There are 7.7 billion people across 195 countries, and every race has their own belief system, religion, culture, and tradition. Yet, each individual is a unique mix of their own. That is why appreciating diversity is very important to fully understand the human experience and for us to coexist peacefully. So if appreciating diversity doesn't exist in human, there will be a chaos happens towards countries and humans, and we will live in constant hostility, not in peaceful coexistence, because of the reason that we can understand the diversity of countries and people. That's why appreciating diversity is very important to human beings. However, understanding diversity requires us to broaden our appreciation of many facets of the human race. When we see facet, a specific and unique aspect of broader personality trait means we need to appreciate and respect the uniqueness of different human race and recognize that we have our own stereotypes, prejudice, and discrimination too. Definition of terms. Stereotype, extremely generalized belief about group of people. Prejudice, unjustified or incorrect attitude towards a person. Discrimination, when stereotype and prejudice translate into a negative act towards a person. Stereotypes are an overgeneralized belief about a particular group or class of people. Cardwell 1996. It can be helpful in simplifying things. After all, there are 7.7 billion people on the planet. When we meet someone for the first time, we associate with them certain characteristics and abilities that we usually base on the group they belong to. For example, when we meet Japanese for the first time, makakonclude or mahibayon nata na siya or sila kay polite, calm, and shy. Iyang characteristic kay known man ang Japanese na kanang ilang attitude, so mahibayon nata mag-adjust towards sa ila. Stereotypes convey positive and negative generalizations. For example, for positive, like a student from Ateneo de Manila, schools would be stereotyped as very intelligent or matalino. And for the Filipino, we are known for being a hospitality. While the negative example is like equating our Muslim countrymen as terrorists, land viewing farmers and blue collar work as a lazy and less educated. They have these ideas or thoughts because it reflects our expectations and beliefs as is largely based on the social circle we belong to as we try to conform or agree to the standard way of thought. However, these stereotypes change through time depending on social and political condition. So kani dili is mag-stay or mag-maintain, ma-change ba siya sa panahon or through time nakadepende sa social and political conditions sa ato countries or the world. A stereotype can be categorized as explicit, meaning the person is aware that they have these thoughts towards a group of people that they can say it out loud. For example, American and Filipino. An American has a thoughts about Filipino na they are hospitality, hardworking, and lovable person because Filipino is known na unana ang characteristic. On the other hand, stereotype can also be implicit wherein a person does not know if they have this stereotype since it lies in their subconscious. For example, even if you say that men and women are equally good at math, it is possible that you associate math more strongly with men without being actively aware of it. Meaning, bisan mulaong ka na men and women are equally good at math, pero nagasi possible na imayugnay na mas bagtik ang malayaki sa math kaysa baji bisan waya gazid ka as ina aware. Prejudice is an unjustified or incorrect attitude, usually negative towards an individual based solely on individual's membership of social group. McLeod 2008. Prejudice represents our emotional response upon learning the group like age, skin, color, race, disability, generations, nationality, religion, sex, sexual expression, gender expression, and so on. This negative attitude prejudice can be dangerous and it often leads to negative actions and behaviors. For example, a sexist person is someone who has negative attitude towards the other sex and sees them as the lesser sex. This negative attitude could manifest into actions such as bullying, discriminations, or violence. Another example, pareha sa Amerika sa una, dili nila makita ng black people na ila equal. Amo nang sometimes they are being rude towards the black people. Usahay ila pa gamitan ng dahas or assault violence. Pero still karon nagyapoy nahitabo na prejudice dito sa gawa sa black people and white people, pero minimize na dili pareha sa una na grabe kalala ang prejudice towards black people. Discrimination refers to actions or behaviors towards an individual or group of people. According to the United Nations, discriminatory behavior take many forms, but they involve some form of exclusions or rejections. Kibali sa discrimination, ang stereotype and prejudice na translate na into negative action towards an individual or a group of people. People who are discriminated against are treated worse than the way people are usually treated just because they belong to a certain group or they have certain characteristics. Here are few examples of discrimination. Genocide, apartheid means separateness, gender discriminations, and LGBT discrimination. Genocide is the actions of recognizing someone as different so much that they are treated inhumanly and degraded. For example, sa una dyan mga tao na ginatreat nila ang mga IPs inhumanly o degraded nila kay para sa ila different man ang mga IPs. Pero karon waya na kay karon ang generation is open-minded naman ang mga tao. So more on equality. Sa ang mga IPs ginapanigan naman sa gobyerno. Next is apartheid. Means separateness is a form of racial discrimination wherein one race is viewed as less than the other, resulting in the separation of black and whites and the mass under a Jews in concentration camps. So sa una sa mga white people ang ila pagtan-aw sa low sa black people kay tungod black man ang ilang skin color. Next, gender discrimination is another common form of discrimination. Statistically, women earn less than men and are often relegated to be solely responsible for child rearing and house chores. Men, on the other hand, are discriminated against in household responsibilities such as that they are perceived as less manly when they do their share of house chores or when they become stay-at-home husband. Pero karon ni na discrimination, di nag as in big deal. Dili kong parehas sa una. Pero still karon naghapon ni na discrimination pero minimize or lessen na si Jack. LGBT discrimination happens when LGBT people are treated as lesser than the straight people. Discriminations happen early in their childhood as they get bullied when they act differently or dress differently than the other kids. During adolescence, they get judged, bullied, or physically assaulted as they explore and express their sexuality. Amo nang nag-exist karon ang pride celebration sa ila kay tungod pahiwatig o nagpahibayron na sila na nag-exist sad sila dili ra kung boy or girl, kailangan nila ng equality and respect as a human being living in this world. Sa una sa ato country na ang Pilipina kay way ilang right na mo-vote sa national elections o wala sa ila legal right na mag-own ng properties. Kay kanina form is institutional discriminations based on illogical or irrational judgment that women are weaker than men. Article 1 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights UDHR states that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. This declaration was drafted by member countries of the United Nations including the Philippines in 1948. This monumental document outlines that fundamental rights of every human being that should be protected by everyone at all the times. Its preamble recognizes that the inherent dignity and of the equal and inalienable rights of members of the human family is the foundation of freedom, justice, and peaceful in the world. Tungod ini na law na gibag-uhan or gidungagan sa mga countries na para maging ang mga opportunities o mga privilege kay kuan accessible na to everyone bisan LGBT or naay disability na person. Then ang ibang country kay accepted sa ila na ang same-sex marriage like Thailand, America, pero sa Pilipinas wala pa na kay religious man ang Pilipino so nagasunod sila sa Bible. Pero ang sa Filipino is ang mga establishments kay kuan na nila ang law na accepted na ang naay disability. Then appreciating diversity of the human race is the key to making safer and more inclusive environment for everyone regardless of race, sex, religion, sexuality, gender, or creed. Dapat mahibayutan mag-appreciate ng pagkakaiba para sa peaceful and better world. Stereotyping, prejudice, and discrimination is a sensitive issue for many people since it can be traced to our history, culture, traditions, and religion. However, with the internet and technology, we now live in a world that seems to have no borders. It is important to create a society that respects the uniqueness of every human being and uphold everyone's dignity and rights. Thank you for listening.